My name is Rachel Morrison, and at 29, I thought I had finally found my place working as a senior financial analyst at Meridian Financial Group. For 18 months, I had been building strong relationships with clients and colleagues while consistently exceeding performance targets in ways that earned recognition from senior management. But my coworker Amanda Stevens had been systematically spreading malicious lies about my personal life and professional conduct, trying to destroy my reputation and sabotage my career advancement. When Amanda's gossip campaign escalated to formal complaints that threatened my job security, I had no idea that HR's investigation would uncover recorded evidence of her confessing the entire fabricated scheme to another colleague. If you're watching this because you've dealt with a workplace bully who spread lies to damage your reputation, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories of workplace justice. Trust me, you'll want to hear how this master manipulator's own words became the evidence that destroyed her career and vindicated everything I had been trying to defend. Amanda Stevens had joined Meridian Financial about 6 months after me, arriving with impressive credentials from a competing firm and immediately establishing herself as confident, sociable, and ambitious in ways that made her popular with both colleagues and management. She was 32, articulate, and seemed to have natural networking abilities that helped her quickly integrate into office social circles and build relationships that typically took new employees much longer to develop. Amanda was the kind of person who remembered everyone's birthdays, organized group lunches, and always seemed to know the latest office news and gossip before anyone else. Initially, Amanda and I had what seemed like a friendly professional relationship, collaborating on several projects and sharing insights about industry trends and client management strategies. She appeared genuinely interested in my background and career path, asking thoughtful questions about my previous experience and offering helpful suggestions about navigating office politics and advancement opportunities. Amanda seemed like the ideal colleague. Supportive, knowledgeable, and generous with advice and encouragement that made me feel welcomed and valued as part of the team. But I started noticing subtle changes in how colleagues interacted with me after Amanda had been with the company for about 3 months. Conversations would sometimes pause when I approached groups in the break room, and I began sensing an undercurrent of awkwardness in social situations that hadn't existed before. Several colleagues who had previously been friendly and open became more formal and distant in their interactions, though nothing was ever said directly that would explain the shift in office dynamics and relationships. The first concrete indication that something was wrong came when my supervisor, Jennifer Walsh, called me into her office for what she described as a wellness check-in to discuss my overall job satisfaction and any personal challenges that might be affecting my work performance. Jennifer explained that she had received informal feedback suggesting that I might be experiencing stress or personal difficulties that were impacting my professional demeanor and relationships with colleagues. She emphasized that the conversation was confidential and supportive, but I was confused because I felt like I was performing well and maintaining positive working relationships. When I asked Jennifer for specific examples of concerning behavior, she mentioned vague reports about mood swings, unprofessional comments about clients, and possible personal problems that might require employee assistance program resources or adjusted workload considerations. The descriptions didn't match my own perception of my behavior or performance, and I assured Jennifer that I was doing well both personally and professionally. She seemed relieved by my response, but suggested that I be mindful of how stress might be affecting my interactions with others, even when I didn't recognize the signs myself. Over the following weeks, I became more aware of subtle signs that my reputation was being damaged by information I couldn't identify or address directly. A client mentioned being surprised by something they had heard about my background, though they wouldn't elaborate on the specifics when I asked for clarification. A colleague from another department made an offhand comment about my situation. That suggested they had been told something personal about my life that I had never shared with anyone at work. The incidents were frustrating because they suggested that damaging information was circulating without giving me any opportunity to correct misunderstandings or address legitimate concerns. The situation escalated when I was excluded from a major client presentation that I had been expecting to participate in based on my involvement in the preliminary research and analysis phases. When I asked Jennifer about the change, she explained that there had been concerns about my current state of mind and whether I was the best choice to represent the company in such an important client interaction. She wouldn't provide specifics about who had raised concerns or what exactly they had reported, but the exclusion felt like professional punishment for problems I didn't understand or recognize in my own behavior and performance. Amanda's role in the rumor campaign became clear during a company happy hour when I overheard her talking to two colleagues about my supposed personal issues and how they were affecting team morale and client relationships. She was speaking quietly, but not quietly enough to prevent me from hearing her describe fabricated details about my mental health, family problems, and unprofessional conduct that were completely untrue, but delivered with the kind of concerned authority that made them sound credible. Amanda noticed me listening and smoothly changed the subject, but the damage had been done in terms of understanding who was responsible for the rumors. When I confronted Amanda directly about what I had overheard, she expressed shocked innocence and claimed that she had been defending me against rumors started by other people rather than spreading gossip herself. Amanda suggested that I was being paranoid and overreacting to normal workplace conversations, and implied that my defensive response was evidence of the emotional instability that others had been discussing. Her gaslighting was sophisticated and effective, making me question my own perceptions while providing no concrete evidence that I could use to prove her involvement in the gossip campaign. The harassment escalated when Amanda began filing formal complaints with HR about my alleged behavior, including claims that I had made inappropriate comments about clients, displayed emotional instability during meetings, and created a hostile work environment through unpredictable mood swings and unprofessional conduct. Each complaint was carefully crafted to sound reasonable and concerned rather than malicious, painting Amanda as a worried colleague trying to address legitimate workplace issues rather than a vindictive coworker spreading fabricated accusations for personal gain. HR Director Michael Chen called me in for a formal meeting to discuss the complaints that had been filed, explaining that they were required to investigate any allegations of unprofessional conduct or behavior that might affect workplace safety and harmony. Michael emphasized that the process was designed to be fair and confidential, but the formal nature of the investigation felt threatening and humiliating. I was asked to respond to specific allegations that were so far from my actual behavior that defending myself felt surreal and impossible. The allegations included claims that I'd called clients idiots during internal meetings, thrown papers and office supplies when frustrated, made disparaging comments about colleagues' personal lives, and displayed erratic behavior that made others uncomfortable working with me. Each accusation was detailed enough to sound specific and credible, but completely fabricated in ways that would be impossible to disprove without witnesses or recorded evidence. Amanda had crafted her lies carefully to target behaviors that would be difficult to verify, but serious enough to justify disciplinary action or termination. Michael explained that the investigation would include interviews with relevant witnesses, review of any available documentation, and assessment of my overall performance record to determine whether the allegations had merit. He assured me that I would have opportunities to provide my perspective and evidence in my defense, but the formal process felt ominous and threatening. I realized that my job security and professional reputation were at serious risk based entirely on fabricated accusations from a colleague whose motivations I couldn't understand or prove to others. During the investigation period, I noticed that Amanda seemed unusually confident and cheerful. apparently expecting that her campaign would succeed in damaging my career and possibly leading to my termination. She continued to express fake concern about my situation to colleagues, positioning herself as someone who had tried to help but was ultimately forced to report serious problems for the good of the team. Amanda's performance was convincing enough that several colleagues seemed to believe her version of events and began treating me with suspicion and distance. The breakthrough came 3 weeks into the investigation when Michael scheduled what he described as a critical evidence review meeting that would significantly impact the outcome of my case. He wouldn't provide details in advance, but his tone suggested that important new information had emerged during the investigation process. I prepared for the meeting by documenting my own timeline of events and gathering any evidence that might support my version of the situation. Though I felt discouraged about my ability to prove negative claims about behavior that had never actually occurred. The evidence review meeting included Michael, Jennifer, and me, along with legal counsel Sarah Martinez, who had been brought in to ensure proper handling of what had become a serious personnel matter. Michael began by explaining that their investigation had uncovered information that dramatically changed their understanding of the situation and the credibility of the allegations that had been filed. He said they had obtained recorded evidence that would definitively resolve the questions about my conduct and the motivations behind the formal complaints. Michael then played an audio recording that had been captured by the office security system during what Amanda apparently thought was a private conversation in a conference room after hours. The recording was crystal clear and devastating to Amanda's credibility. In her own voice, Amanda was bragging to another colleague about her systematic campaign to destroy my reputation through carefully fabricated allegations designed to get me fired or force me to quit the company voluntarily. The recording revealed Amanda explaining her entire strategy in detail, including her reasons for targeting me, and the specific lies she had crafted to maximize damage to my professional standing. She described feeling threatened by my performance and relationship with management, and believing that eliminating me would improve her own advancement opportunities within the company. Amanda had apparently viewed me as competition that needed to be eliminated through reputation destruction rather than professional competition based on merit and performance. Most damaging was Amanda's casual admission that every allegation in her formal complaints was completely fabricated, designed to create a pattern of concerning behavior that would justify my termination. She laughed while describing how she had crafted each lie to be specific enough to sound credible, but impossible to definitively disprove. Amanda expressed confidence that her strategy would succeed, because HR would have to take formal complaints seriously, regardless of whether they could prove the specific allegations beyond doubt. The recording also revealed Amanda's manipulation of other colleagues, describing how she had planted seeds of suspicion and concern through carefully orchestrated conversations designed to make others believe they had independently observed problems with my behavior. She had been systematically poisoning workplace relationships by sharing fabricated details about my personal life and professional conduct, then encouraging others to report their concerns to management as corroborating evidence for her formal allegations. Michael paused the recording to ask if I recognized the voice and could confirm that the conversation accurately represented the situation I had been experiencing. The relief of finally having concrete proof that the allegations were fabricated was overwhelming, but I was also shocked by the calculated cruelty of Amanda's campaign and the satisfaction she had expressed while describing her efforts to destroy my career and reputation for her own advancement. Sarah Martinez explained that the recording provided clear evidence of malicious false reporting, harassment, and deliberate attempts to damage my employment through fabricated allegations. She said that Amanda's behavior potentially violated multiple company policies as well as state laws regarding workplace harassment and defamation. The legal implications were serious enough that the company would need to consider both internal disciplinary action and potential cooperation with any civil or criminal proceedings that might result from Amanda's conduct. The meeting concluded with Michael apologizing for the stress and professional damage I had experienced as a result of Amanda's fabricated allegations, and assuring me that my record would be cleared of any reference to the complaints or investigation. He explained that Amanda would be immediately suspended pending a disciplinary hearing that would likely result in her termination, and that the company would provide whatever support was necessary to repair any damage to my workplace relationships or reputation that had resulted from her systematic lies and manipulation. The confrontation with Amanda happened the next morning when security escorted her to HR for what she apparently expected to be a routine follow-up meeting about her complaints against me. Michael began by asking Amanda to confirm that her allegations had been truthful and based on direct observation of problematic behavior that warranted formal reporting. Amanda confidently reiterated her claims and expressed concern that I was being allowed to continue working while the investigation was ongoing, apparently believing that her strategy was succeeding as planned. Michael then played the recording of Amanda's confession, watching her face change from confidence to horror as she heard her own words describing the fabricated nature of every allegation and her strategic planning to destroy my career through systematic lies. Amanda initially tried to claim that the recording was taken out of context or that she had been joking, but the detailed and specific nature of her confession made those explanations obviously false and desperate. When confronted with undeniable evidence of her malicious behavior, Amanda finally broke down and admitted that she had fabricated the allegations because she felt threatened by my performance and believed that damaging my reputation would improve her own advancement opportunities. She claimed that workplace competition had driven her to make poor decisions, but offered no genuine remorse for the personal and professional damage she had attempted to cause through months of systematic lies and manipulation designed to destroy my career and relationships. Amanda's termination was immediate and final, with no opportunity for appeal or negotiation. Security escorted her from the building after she cleared out her personal belongings, and company-wide communication was sent explaining that serious policy violations had led to her dismissal without providing specific details that might compromise ongoing legal considerations. Several colleagues approached me privately to apologize for believing the rumors and express shock that someone they had trusted had been capable of such calculated cruelty and deception. The aftermath included individual meetings with colleagues who had been influenced by Amanda's lies, allowing me to rebuild relationships that had been damaged by her systematic manipulation and rumor campaigns. Most people were genuinely apologetic and shocked to learn that they had been manipulated into believing fabricated allegations against a colleague they had previously respected and trusted. The conversations were healing and helped restore the collaborative workplace environment that Amanda's toxicity had temporarily poisoned. Michael also arranged for company-wide training on workplace harassment, rumor spreading, and the importance of reporting concerns through proper channels, rather than engaging in gossip that could damage colleagues' reputations unfairly. The training emphasized the serious consequences that could result from making false allegations or deliberately spreading misinformation about colleagues, using Amanda's case as an example of how malicious behavior could lead to termination and potential legal liability for defamation and harassment. 3 months later, I received notification that Amanda was facing a civil lawsuit from another former colleague at her previous company who had learned about the recording and recognized similar tactics that had been used against them. Apparently, Amanda had a pattern of using fabricated allegations and rumor campaigns to eliminate workplace competition, and multiple victims were now coming forward with evidence of her systematic harassment and defamation. The legal consequences extended far beyond her termination from our company. The promotion that Amanda had apparently been competing for was offered to me 6 months later, along with recognition for maintaining professionalism and performance standards, despite the harassment and stress I had endured during her campaign of lies. The advancement felt particularly satisfying because it represented validation that my work quality and professional relationships had survived Amanda's attempts to destroy my reputation and career prospects through malicious fabrication and systematic manipulation. A year later, I learned that Amanda had been unable to find comparable employment in our industry because word of her termination and the circumstances had spread through professional networks. Her reputation for dishonesty and manipulation had made her essentially unemployable in competitive environments where trust and integrity were essential for success. The career destruction she had attempted to inflict on me had instead become her own professional downfall, creating consequences that extended far beyond losing a single job. The recording that captured Amanda's confession had been preserved as evidence in multiple legal proceedings and served as a cautionary tale during company training sessions about workplace harassment and the importance of truthfulness in professional environments. Her own words had become the definitive proof of her malicious intent and systematic dishonesty, ensuring that her lies could never again be used to damage innocent colleagues or advance her career through the destruction of others' reputations and relationships. The experience taught me valuable lessons about workplace dynamics, the importance of documentation, and the eventual consequences that face people who choose manipulation and dishonesty over honest competition and professional development. Amanda's downfall was entirely self-inflicted, created by her own recorded words, confessing to behavior that violated both professional standards and basic human decency in ways that made her termination and legal consequences inevitable and appropriate. The coworker who spread lies about me learned that recorded confessions make the perfect evidence in workplace investigations, and that trying to destroy someone's career through fabricated allegations can backfire in ways that create permanent consequences for the person spreading the lies rather than their intended victim.